Okay, so by now you should have taken your solving equations quiz where you were allowed to use your notes and everything. Once you start working on the corrections for that quiz, if you feel like you need, you still need some additional help, can't do it, just shoot me a message and I'll try to send you a quick video or, yeah, a quick video on how to solve the problem that you're still stuck on. Okay. Inequalities. Inequality is going to be extremely similar to solving an equation with one exception. Okay, so first of all, this is going to be page 17 in your notebook. Okay, so one thing about an equation, we talked about it already. What makes an equation an equation? That equal sign. So an equation uses an equal sign to show that both sides are equal. Remember the infinite solution and the no solution. 1 is not equal to 2, or 9 is equal to 9. Okay, so equal. Use an equal sign to show that both sides are equal. Okay. Now, the difference is in inequality, okay, and inequality shows that both sides are not equal. They are not the same. They are not equal. Okay. And you guys have all like grown up throughout school. You've seen inequalities many times. I don't know at what grade level you start to see those, but it's those symbols where your teacher teaches you alligator eats the bigger number. Okay, those are the ones that we're talking about. Okay, so we have four main inequalities that we use. First one starting off with greater than. Okay, greater than. Now, whenever you do have to graph this on a number line, you use an open circle. And greater than, notice you want to treat it like an arrow. So whenever you're shading, you would shade to the right. Okay. Greater than or equal to. Okay. Equal to means that that number is going to be included. So we underline that inequality, but with the bubble, we actually fill it in. Okay. Now, whenever I'm actually in the classroom, I like to give examples of each of these. So let's say for an example for greater than right here, um, you, which one? What was the example that I used last year? You must be taller than 5 feet to ride the ride, correct? So if you must be taller than 5 feet to ride the ride, that would mean that anybody higher than 5 feet, not including the people that are 5 feet. If you're exactly 5 feet, then you're not tall enough to ride the ride. Okay. Greater than or equal to only student or only people 18 or older can vote. That means as soon as you turn 18, as soon as the date of your birthday, you are allowed to vote. We're including 18-year-olds into that equation. Okay, so that means 18 and older. So you can be 18, you can be 19, you can be 20. Versus if I told you you have to be older than 18, then that means only 19, 20, 21, 22. Okay. Less than. This toy is for children less than 3. Okay. Well, if you're 3, it probably isn't a good toy for you. You're probably a little too advanced for that toy, right? So that would include 2-year-olds, one, any newborns, stuff like that. But anyway, so since we're not including those 3-year-olds, we leave an open circle there. Okay. Less than or equal to. You must be 12 and under to get your free lunch at the buffet. 12 and under, that means if you're still 12, and we know a lot of your parents have lied about you guys. Some of you are probably still lying about it just to get that free meal, right? That one would be probably the best example. So one trick I like to tell all my students is, because they all ask, when do we know to underline or not? Or no, when do we know to fill in the circle? When do we know it's a closed circle versus an open circle? Well, if you see the line, think about this. That's the juice to fill in the bubble. Line fills in the bubble. Your line fills in the bubble. That's the juice you need to fill in that circle. This is a closed circle versus open circle, not underlined. Okay. Anyway, solve an inequality. You use the same steps as used in solving equations. But the biggest difference, and I'm going to go ahead and put a star here on step 2. Biggest difference is whenever you multiply or divide by a negative number, the inequality symbol must be flipped. You're going to flip the inequality symbol. So you would go from less than to greater than. Just going to flip it. Okay. And you can always choose a number in your solution to check the answer. We'll talk about that with a couple of them, or a few, with the first 3 examples. Okay. All right. So starting with number 1. And the reason I broke it down into 1 and 2 step, because typically the curriculum asks us to go straight into multi-step, but right now I want you to be focused on knowing when to flip the symbol, knowing what the equation or what the inequality looks like, when do I need to flip it, everything like that. Okay. So that's going to be your main focus. It's the same as a 1 or 2 step equation, which you guys, I am very confident you're doing well with. But right now, I'll focus on when am I going to flip it. I don't think we need a calculator for these, do we? And we might. Yeah, we might. Okay, so first thing, draw the line, as always. Right? Find your variable. My variable is on the left, so we want to move everything to the right. In this case, we're going to move that -5 to the right. It is connected with the minus sign, so opposite of minus would be +5. Complete it, clean it up. So we get x. This time, instead of bringing down an equal sign, remember, we're using inequalities. So we did not multiply, we did not divide, we didn't do anything like that. So we kept the symbol. X is greater than 37. Okay, that's how you would read it at. You would read it as x is greater than 37. Now, how would you check your answer? Think about it. If your answer is x is greater than 37, pick a number that's greater than 37. Last year, my students picked 45. So let's check it. Okay. First of all, our original inequality is x minus 5 is greater than 37. So if we put that 45 in the place of that x, we get 45 minus 5. Okay. What is 45 minus 5? 40. Is 40 greater than 37? Yeah, that's true. It is. So we know we got a correct answer. So how do we graph this? How do we graph x is greater than 37 on our number line? Well, we would put 37 on the number line. Honestly, I don't care if you fill in the front or the back of it, but we put an open circle. Remember, if the inequality here is not underlined, then you leave it open and you treat it as an arrow. Okay, you treat it as an arrow. So we shade it this way to the right. Now, some students are like, well, why don't we bubble in the 37? Why don't we shade it in? Well, that would mean that 37 is part of the solution. And I'm going to show you with this one example why we would not shade it in. Once again, we're going to do the same thing that we did here. Let me see. So let's say we plug in a 37 instead of a 45. We would get 37 minus 5 is greater than 37, right? 37 minus 5 is 32. Then you have to ask yourself, is 32 greater than 37? No, that's false. So because it's false, because 32 is not greater than 37, do not shade. 32 is not greater than 37. Do not shade. I wanted to underline it. I don't want to say do not shade. Let's say do not fill in. You don't fill in that bubble, okay? Let's go with number 2. All right, number 2, draw your line. Find your variable. Your variable's on the left, so that means our numbers needs to move to the right. Anybody that's rushing, what do you think they're going to do? They are going to add. But remember, you're trying to find the connection in between the number and the letter, not in front. So since there is nothing in between them, that automatically means multiplication, invisible dot, right? So the opposite of multiplying that negative 13 would be to divide the negative 13. Notice we are dividing, so we got to be on alert, right? Anytime we multiply or divide, we have to be on high alert. The number that is moving across the line is a negative number. Because that is a negative number, what do we have to do? We must flip the symbol. Okay, so this less than equal to will flip and turn into greater than or equal to. Now the rest should be pretty similar. Negative 13. 117 divided by negative 13 is negative 9. Okay, so give me a number that's greater than negative 9. Just going to use last year's example, which was a 15. Negative 13x less than or equal to 117. Okay, we replace the x with this 15 right here because that is our number that is greater than negative 9. Any positive number is going to be greater than any negative number, right? And then we type in negative 13 times 15. We get negative 195. Is negative 195 less than or equal to 117? Yeah, true. So we know we solved it correctly. So I'm going to put my negative 9 on my number line. Notice it is underlined, right? It is underlined, so the line fills in the bubble. Line fills in the bubble. So we're going to have a closed circle, and our inequality is pointing to the right. Now, just because this is a negative, the negative side of the number 9 line, what kind of numbers would we find? Well, we know that negative 8 would be before, negative 10 would be after somewhere. Okay. Next one. We have two numbers on the same side as the variable. That means what? It's going to take 2 steps. When we solve a 2-step equation, we start with the constant. So the constant, the number without the letter, is that number 10. Number 10 is connected to the letter with a plus sign. Opposite of plus is minus. Complete it and clean it up. 5 over 2r. 55 minus 10, 45. Now, how do we get rid of a fraction? Let's remember, fractions represent division, and the opposite of dividing is to multiply. But because it is a complete fraction, meaning it has a numerator and a denominator, we multiply by the reciprocal. We flip the numbers. Do not change the sign, anything like that. Okay. Now, once again, we are multiplying, so we need to be on high alert, right? Need to be on high alert. Because we are multiplying, we need to check our number. Did we multiply? Is the number that's moving across the inequality, is it a negative number? It is not. So in this case, we do not flip. We leave the sign alone. 45 parentheses 2 over 5. You get 18. Okay. So give me a number that's less than 18. Last year, my kids gave me 0. Very original. 5 over 2r plus 10 less than 55. And this is the last one we're going to check our answers on. This is just so you understand that you can always plug your answer back in. And also that 0 is part of the solution, because 0 is a number that I can put here. I can replace here and make it a true statement. 0 is less than 18. Okay. So 5 over 2 times 0 plus 10 less than 55. Well, we know anything times 0 is 0. Is 10 less than 55? Yeah, true statement. So we're good. So we put 18 on our number line. Are we going to shade it? Are we going to bubble in, fill in the bubble? Yes or no? In this case, we do not fill in the bubble. So we leave an open circle. This time it is pointing to the left. So we shade this way. You can highlight for your shading, or you can just do it the way I did it. Okay. All right, moving on. I wish I could move this over more. Oh, I can. Cool. That way I can zoom in. There we go. That's a lot better, I think. Let's go with green, I guess. All right, this time we notice that R, and with this one, this is where some students are going to make some mistakes. With inequalities, there is a way of making mistakes when you're solving, okay? Because typically, whenever we get down to the solution of an equation, you guys want to write it as x equals 5, right? Well, with inequalities, it's very, very, very important that you solve straight down, because it will affect the way that you shade, okay? So we're going to actually write that. You want to solve straight. And I'll show you what I mean by that in a little bit. You want to solve straight down. Don't try to move your variable to the other side. Why can I not draw a straight line? Life's tough. Life is tough these days. Okay. I'm actually recording from my house today. I feel like my husband's watching me on the cameras. All right. Anyway, so our variable's on the right side of this time. So that means we need to move our numbers to the left. Now because there are 2, technically, right? We put a 1 there. We always start with the constant, the number that's not attached to the variable, which is a 19. Now 19 is attached with the plus sign. Opposite of plus is minus. Complete it, clean it up. 11 minus 19, negative 8. Bring that negative 1k straight down. Okay, now the last step, we divide. We're dividing, so we need to be on high alert. The number that is moving across the equation, the inequality, is a negative number. So what does that mean? That means we need to flip the sign. So K, instead of less than, is going to be what? Greater than. Negative 8 divided by negative 1 is a positive 8. Okay. Now, this is where it can get a little tricky. Anytime you see an answer on the STAR test, what do you notice about that answer? Like, think about your ABCD. In your ABCD, every time you got, just A, B, C, whatever. You got X equals 1, X equals 2, X equals 3, right? Where your variable is in the front. Now, we are supposed to solve straight down. We didn't do anything wrong there, but for purposes of shading, for purposes um, of graphing on our number line and everything, and also for purposes of being able to find our answer once we get to that multiple choice question, we need to move this K back over to the front. Now, whenever we flip it again, we're going to flip it this time because we want this variable to be in the front. When we flip it again, guess what? Our symbol flips again as well. Okay. You're not always going to have a problem where you're going to have to flip twice. Sometimes you're only going to have to flip because of the way the answer is written. But in this case, we had to flip it twice. Okay. First time you flipped it was because we were dividing by a negative. The next time is because we need to clean up our answer. We want the variable to be in the front. You want to move the variable to the front. Okay. All right. Pick another color. Ready to go. Number 5. Remember, you can always slow down the playback or you can pause, repeat, whatever you need to do. All right. Our variable's on the left, so that means our numbers need to move to the right. The constant is the 15, opposite of plus, minus. Complete it, clean it up. 4.6 R, zeros out. 50 minus 15, 35.88. Not a big fan of decimals, but it is what it is. Okay. Last step is we're going to divide. Since we are dividing, we need to be on high alert. We need to be on high alert. Is the number that's moving across the inequality a negative number? It is not. So since it is not, we're good to go. We leave the inequality as is. 35.88 divided by 4.6, and we get 7.8. Yep. 7.8. I wonder if I can like move this over some too. No, come back. What did I just do? I just wanted to move it over some. Nope. I keep messing up. Guess I'm not going to be able to. I almost had it right. I'm gonna try it one more time. There we go. Now I could scoot this one over some more. And zoom in even a little bit more. I'm just trying to make it to where, because the size of the calculator won't change. Oh, that's probably better. I'm learning as I go too when it comes to this. All right. So variables on the left, we move the numbers to the right side of the inequality. Starting with the 14, plus changes to minus, bring down 3 over 2x. 7 minus 14 is negative 7. Okay, now we have a fraction. What do fractions represent? Division. So the opposite of dividing is to multiply. We multiply by the reciprocal. We are multiplying, so once again, be on high alert. This is a question that typically comes up. Students ask, well, the 7 is negative, so should we be flipping the symbol? The answer to that is actually no. Then you always want to focus on which number, the number that is moving across. Since the number that is moving across is 2/3 and 2/3 is positive, you still don't flip. It doesn't matter that the number that is already on the other side is negative. Okay, so this one we're not going to flip. And negative 7, parentheses, 2/3. Oh, forgot to move all the way over. Negative 14 over 3. Okay. Let's do a couple more where we actually have to graph. So, number 7. Decimals fun. All right. Variables on the left, moving my numbers to the right. Starting with the 19, minus changes to plus. Bring down 5D. Should probably, okay. Now 16.7 plus, oh Lord, 19.8. I cannot do that quickly in my head. We get 36.5. Okay. Now 5 is attached to D. Invisible dot. Opposite of times is to divide. We are dividing. Be on high alert. Do we need a flip? Not this time because we are dividing by a positive number. So we leave it alone. 36.5 divided by 5. I'm just going to take that answer. 7.3. Okay, now this one does ask us to graph it on the number line. So if we have, let's say 6, 7, 8, 7.3 is going to be somewhere around here, right? So I draw an open circle, shaded this way. My inequality is pointing to the left. We shade to the left. Next. Variable starts on the left. We move numbers to the right. Starting with the 35. Now, even though you see that minus sign, you're very, and you want to rush through this, you want to add it, whatever, pay very close attention. What is in front of the 35? Nothing. That means it is a plus sign. Opposite of plus is minus. That is a mistake that a lot of students tend to make, especially when they are rushing. And also when they're rushing, they leave that minus behind. 62 minus 35, 27. Okay. Opposite of times is to divide. We are dividing. Be on high alert. Do we need to flip the sign? Yes or no? Yeah. The number that is moving across, is a negative number. So our symbol is going to flip from less than to greater than. 27 divided by negative 9, negative 3. Okay, so we're going to put a negative 3 here. It is underlined. So what does that mean? We fill in the bubble. And we're going to shade it this way. Negative 2 is here. Negative 4 is this way. Remember, the negative side of the number line goes backwards. Number 9. In a star-like situation, what is the smallest value of x that is not a solution? Very important. What is the smallest value of x that is not a solution to this inequality? Well, let's solve it. First, we add 26. Four plus 26, 30. Divide. We're dividing. Do we need to flip? No. But 30 divided by 4, 7.5. We do not flip. 7.5. Okay. So some of you may see the answer just by looking at your solution in this form. I like to graph it on a number line to really understand. So I'm going to do this, draw my number line. We got 7, 7.5, and then we have 8. Okay. Our solution, because it is not underlined, would be an open circle shaded this way. Okay. Now it says, which is the smallest value of x that is not a solution? Well, out of the shaded stuff, which one is not a solution? Starting right here, because it is an open circle. Now, if it was a closed circle, let me just do it in a different color. Don't copy me. If it was a closed circle, then I would say, okay, well, the smallest solution, 7.6, right? Or 7.51, 7.5, whatever. But because it is an open circle, that means starting with 7.5. Next question. Number 10, Ricardo has 37.25 in his wallet. He would like to purchase a movie ticket and some candy. The ticket costs 7.25 and each box of candy costs 3.75. He claims he can buy 5 boxes. Do you agree or disagree? Whenever you don't have the equation set up for you, my best advice is to always set it up with words. Okay? Always set it up with words to begin with. So, let's start with the first part of the paragraph. Ricardo has 37.25 in his wallet. So, why did I write Ricardo? Ricardo has. We're going to put that on this side of the inequality. And it says he's buying some stuff. How much is all that stuff going to cost? Well, we know that Ricardo has 37.25. Okay. Now, to set up the equation, it says that the ticket costs $7.25. One ticket, 7.25. Now, if you remember anything about writing equations from last year, you know that each is our way of knowing where to put the x. So each box of candy costs 3.75. So 3.75, attach the x, because you don't know how many boxes of candy he's going to get. He claims he can buy 5 boxes. Do you agree or disagree? Well, here we go. Ricardo has, now, if he only has 37.25, can he spend more than that? No, he can't spend, but can he spend exactly that amount? Yes, he can spend exactly that amount. He can spend exactly 37.25, but the cost of everything needs to be what? Less than what he has. This is the most that he's going to have. The cost needs to be less. So that's why I'm pointing the less side of the inequality towards the equation part. Okay. Now there's a couple ways that you could solve this. But you can plug that 5 boxes in and see if it gives you a true statement. But I think the easiest thing would actually be to solve and see if 5 is part of the solution. So let's do it that way. So we're going to subtract 7.25. What do you know? It gives us an easy number. So that we're down to 30. 3.75x. We divide. Remember, solve straight down. Solve straight down. We're dividing by a positive number, so we don't have to flip. Okay, 30 divided by 3.75 will give us 8. Okay, now because our answers need to have the variable in the front, what do we need to do? We need to flip it. So our actual answer is x is less than or equal to 8. That means he can buy 8 boxes or what? Less. He can purchase up to 8 boxes. So can he buy 5 boxes? Yeah. Yes, he can. He can buy up to 8 boxes. He can buy 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. So yes, 5 is within the solution. 2 more. Mason's pet leopard gecko, I've never heard of that, must be kept in a cage with a temperature of at least 82 degrees. Using the inequality below, solve for C, determine the safe range of temperatures for his gecko in degrees Celsius. Okay, well, we know Fahrenheit, but to convert from Fahrenheit to Celsius, this is the formula. So first thing we need to do, subtract 32. 9/5C. 82 minus 32, 50. We have a complete fraction with a numerator and denominator. Fractions represent division, so the opposite of dividing is to multiply by the reciprocal. Now the reciprocal is a positive number, so we do not have to flip. Now 50 times 5/9. Complete the fraction, then close it. Gave us a big fat fraction. So what am I going to do? Because we are talking about temperature, I probably want it in decimal form. So math 2, enter, and we get 27.78. Okay. So in degrees Celsius, he has to keep it at 27.78 or what? Higher. 27.78 or higher. At least 27.78 degrees. Okay. Number 12. Gerardo has 1,200 in his savings account, 1,250 in his savings account. To avoid bank fees, he must keep a minimum of 150 in his account. His cell phone costs him $35 per month. Using inequality to determine how many months Gerardo can pay for his cell phone before he would incur fees. Okay, well, to determine how he must keep. So Gerardo has a certain amount of money to avoid bank fees. He must keep a minimum. So needs to keep. Okay. All right. So Gerardo has 1,250. Okay. Says he must keep a minimum of 150 in his bank account. Minimum. Let's go back over this word. If he needs a minimum of 150, 150 is the least amount that he can have. So that's why we're going to go with the less than. But if he has 150 exactly, he's still okay. So we're going to make it equal to. Okay. So whatever he has needs to be more than that 150. 150 is the bare minimum. But he says his cell phone costs him 35 per month. We got that word per, so we know that's what's going to be attached to our X, and it cost him. So if it's costing him, are we going to add that amount to the 1250? No, it's going to be an amount that is subtracted 35x. And let's solve. Starting with the 1250, it is a positive, so we're gonna opposite of plus is minus. Oops. 150 minus 1250 gives us negative 1100. And then we divide. We're dividing, so we need to be on high alert. We're dividing by a negative number, so what does that mean for us? That we need to flip the inequality. Now 11, I'm just gonna type it in. I'm gonna clear everything out. Negative 1100 divided by negative 35. Oh, math, decimal enter. 31.4. Okay. So how many months can he keep? Can he pay for his cell phone? Well, it says 31.4, right? Can you do 0.4 part of a month? No. So he can keep it at most 31 months. I don't know of any cell phone company that will allow you to pay for partial month. So can't pay part of month. That 0.4 represents a part. Okay. All right. So now it's time for you guys to practice on your own.